One out there in internet land. Hi, hello, and how are you doing? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to a very special session of Chattin on the Porch, a live stream that we do Monday through Thursday nights, usually around 7:30 Eastern. But however, for purposes of accommodation of my upcoming guest, we have rolled this thing back an hour. So get yourself some Mountain Dew ready, or Jolt, or whatever it is you do. But we might be here for a while, but we're going to be having a whole lot of fun doing it. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and send out a link. Tell your friends, especially given who my guest is. There is the potential for hilarity to ensue, and I'll almost guarantee that it does. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes called the wise guy in the wide brim. I am on occasion referred to as the common man with common sense. But in this moment, in this hour, on our planet Earth, I am known as your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube. So please send out the link to your friends. Tell them right now, hey, are you ready for some laughs? Get in here, because these two knuckleheads are about to get together. And believe me, I have been watching Twitter all day long. Apparently, among listeners to both our channels, this has been apparently a widely anticipated event. I'm hoping that I am capable to live up to my end of it. I know my guest is beyond capable of living up to it. So we'll see what happens here shortly. Yes, we're going to have some fun, going to have some good conversation. I am really looking forward to this gentleman's perspective on everything, or any number of things, or whatever it is he feels like talking about. You never know where this thing's going to go. I'm serious. Anyway, we're glad you guys are here. We're going to have some fun this evening, and we'll go ahead and start dropping down the intro music, and we will get this party started in earnest. Good to have all of you guys here tonight. And with that, we will go straight to our introduction. You can either thank or curse a mutual listener of our respective channels who goes by the Twitter handle Leah the Bookish for what is about to happen next, as she dropped this little missive on the 30th of September, where she wished a happy International Podcast Day to Real Robert Herr, Third Railify, My Morning Mayhem, Copopopulous, and the Front Porch Conservative. You guys are all incredible and truly at the forefront of what's currently going on in our country and the world. Keep working tirelessly and never give up. Now, I have to admit, when I saw this, I was like, now, Brentley I know, but these other three gentlemen, I am not quite familiar with them yet. Now, two of them I've become a little more familiar with. One of them is going to be here Thursday night. That's Chris from the Morning Mayhem. And don't worry, Robert, you will soon be one of my next guests on my channel. So we're going to be reaching out to you, brother. Don't worry, I ain't leaving you out of the fun. But in the meanwhile, the last of these three, I started finding him on various other channels, and I said to myself, oh, Lord, we have got to talk to this man, because this is going to be just way too much fun. What is the best way to describe him? Well, I think I came up with something shortly before we got started tonight. Imagine what would happen if you took Gordon Lightfoot and crossed him with George Carlin. That is probably a good way to describe my next guest. He is the proprietor of a YouTube and Rumble channel known as the Third Railify. He is any number of different things. He is a father, he is a podcaster, he is a husband, he is any number of things, and one of them is maybe one of the best ranters north of the border. Ladies and gentlemen, please do me the honor of welcoming to the electronic front porch, Sean from Third Railify. Good evening, sir. How do you do?
Oh, what a lovely orator you are. My goodness. Obviously, what's happened here, and everyone can tell, what you've done is you've done some voodoo magic on Obama, and you've taken his magic.
Well, I do know a gentleman down in New Orleans by the name of Francois in the French Quarter who owed me a favor. Now, I can't say what spells or incantations he cast upon the former president, but if magic was taken from the anointed one and passed on to me, well, I have no knowledge. I can either confirm or deny.
Let me tell you, I can tell you where your French pal where he touched the where he touched the Obama doll to get the magic. I'm just saying.
When
Because
friend,
that was a lovely intro. It really was. But hello, everybody. I am Sean of Third Railify. I am I am a stay-at-home dad with 4 young autistic sons, and I do this so I don't go out and commit atrocities.
well, and I'm sure that your brethren up north appreciate the fact you do not commit atrocity. I'm sure your family
Our
appreciates.
crime rate is so high, nobody would know the difference.
Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was going to be the first question. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing, man? Good to have you here tonight.
Good. I see. Gypsy says, "Happy Canadian Thanksgiving." Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Our Thanksgiving is um stupid. I mean, it's a real thing and it's a lovely time. It's much like American Thanksgiving, but we've put it on a stupid time.
Okay, now I've got to ask you the question since we have gotten on the subject of Canadian Thanksgiving. Now we here in the lower 48, I mean, and you're quite being the educated man that you are quite familiar with how it is. We base our custom of American Thanksgiving, but I'm very curious when the Canadians came up with Canada's Thanksgiving. Is there a particular event that you guys hearken back to and say, well, this was the first Thanksgiving in Canada, and these are the origins thereof? I'm serious. I'm not trying to BS you here. I'm curious. Is there some particular thing that the Canadians refer back to when they celebrate Thanksgiving?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Yes, let me tell you exactly what. I'm gonna have to scroll back here a little bit. I have the answer. The
All
short
right.
the oh, Canadian Thanksgiving has its roots in both Indigenous traditions and European settlers' customs. Indigenous peoples in Canada have long celebrated the fall harvest, giving thanks for the bounty of the land. But
Well,
also, first recorded European Thanksgiving in North America was celebrated by Sir Martin Frobisher and his crew in 1578 after surviving a long journey to the Canadian Arctic. However, it wasn't until 1879 that Thanksgiving became an official national holiday in Canada, thanks to the efforts of Sir John A. Macdonald. So it's basically because they celebrated it in Europe, but also it's the fall harvest and the indigenous peoples, they kind of celebrated something like it. Hey, we've done the farming. We have this food. High five. So it's basically kind of like that. They kind of it's come together and it's been I don't know, it's very similar to the American one, but ours is a little more harvest related as
okay.
opposed to what some might call genocide. I would call it migrants coming looking for an opportunity in an opportunity economy.
Now, sir. No, we do not look upon it as genocide. We more or less look at it as thank you, Jesus, for saving our ass that we didn't drown in the ocean coming across. Thank you, Lord. um, I think that's loosely how the puritanical English went. I mean, I could be
Something
wrong,
along those
but
lines.
Oh goodness. Well, let's see. We've already got people on the YouTube side and on the Rumble side reaching out and saying hello. I'll just pop some quick messages up here. Oh no, you cannot be prejudiced against the Canucks. Oh no.
No,
We love our Canucks.
some of us are quite stupid. I understand.
Well, you do have Justin Trudeau as a prime minister, but we'll get to him later.
For 9
Uh,
years.
oh, mother of God, bless your hearts. Anyway, and we have a shout out from one autism. There you go, which we'll get into touch on a little bit of that as the evening goes on. Let's see who's on the Rumble side over here. Morning Mayhem. Hello, Chris. There we go. Good evening, Fedora family. Insane. The Canadian Wiener. Oh, Christopher, we disavow. We can't call him the Canadian Wiener. I mean, like I said, great. Thanks a lot, Chris. You just ran off my guest. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wonderful time here on Chatting on the Porch, and we'll see you this come. No, I'm just kidding. He will be back. And he's back in a big way, in a completely unanticipated way. So this is Canadian Wiener. I'm assuming this is Canadian Wiener.
Yes.
Can you can hear me through that thing?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes.
Some
And I'm really silly. Like, really silly. I'll do my videos or podcast in the full wiener.
You know, I've always
And then
yeah.
I'll ask, usually it's my guest or whoever. I'll say, ask me about my wiener. And you know, it was a thing for a while. I used to do it all the time, but now it's a special occasion.
And ladies and gentlemen, you wonder why he calls his Saturday night show Off the Rails. Really? Does it?
It's because basically I'm supposed to talk about our topic. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the topic of the news we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about the news and analyze it. But from the beginning of that to the end of that, we've talked 4 hours about other things, only touching on the news topic, maybe not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's the ADHD. It's not my fault.
No, I understand.
What are you guys, ableist or something?
No, we would never be ableist here on the Electronic Front Porch. Absolutely not. We would never do that. And our mutual, well, now he left again, folks. Look at that. I tell you what, this boy and Leah. Well, no, wait a minute. Okay, there he is. And Leah on the Rumble side says Sean is looking really maple leafalicious. Oh my, saucy thing, you. Behave yourself, Leah. I'll tell you the truth, this woman. Oh my goodness. Okay, and with that, folks, we'll now get this thing started. Now, in all seriousness, though, I do have to thank Leah for putting the two of us together. I have seen you on your good buddy Morning Mayhem's live streams. I've seen you hanging out with that Aussie pirate by the name of Clancy, which, I'd shake my head too if I heard his name. You know, he's just, I don't know what they're doing with him down there, down under. Clancy's just his own animal. But yeah, I'm really finally glad to have you on the channel because, you know, the times I've seen you, I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, we got to talk to this guy because this is going to get way too much fun.
Can I derail this just for a moment? I want to address mid mo smark. I think a lot of Canadians are brainwashed, although they're waking up en masse. I tried saving one, blah blah blah. Okay. Yes and no, but yes, but also no. Let me explain.
Please do.
So, Canadians for a long time have had something along the lines of about 150 years of their institutions being quite reasonable. Believe it or not, our institutions didn't really lie to us. They didn't really steer us down the wrong path, and everything was fine for a very long time. Our schools were good, some of the best in the world. Our military was a good, strong military. Our media, actually, up until relatively recently, I don't know, in the maybe 2016, maybe. Was actually pretty center. Things like City TV or which is the Toronto News, or CTV, which is a national thing. Global News, also a national thing, was actually pretty center, and there was no real opinions or anything about it. We had relatively good media. You had slants on newspapers, but you knew about it. Right. So like the Toronto Star is woke garbage, but it's always been that. And they'd say, hey, we're woke garbage. And then you go, okay, yeah, sure. Or then you have the National Post, which is slightly conservative, but you knew that. And so everything was sort of, nobody was tricked or duped, and there was no propaganda on the people. So we had 150 years of that. And so the whole population has sort of, we grew up with it being great. Or so we thought. So now we have this thing here, right? We have people waking up, and when they do wake up, they have to realize, hey, has the last 150 years been a lie? That's hard to do because we grew up and everything was fine, everything was good, or was it? And so now we have a lot of people facing the realities that maybe the last 150 years, maybe it's been shit. Because they're waking up and they're realizing, well, if it's this bad now, Could it have just gotten so bad? Maybe I was asleep this whole time, and it was always bad, and I just didn't notice. So it's not that we're brainwashed. It was just sort of everything was fine, but we might not have known that it wasn't fine. It wasn't like we were like told that oh, you have to do this, and then we were like, oh, okay. It was just everything was fine. And but the pandemic, oh buddy, let me tell you, the pandemic is why I am who I am. If COVID never happened, I wouldn't be the absolute lunatic that I turned out to be.
Oh,
Like I am the third Railify and the lunatic that I am is because of Trudeau. It's because of like Doug Ford, our premier. And COVID was so bad, like the lockdowns and the rhetoric and the poison and everything that just was in society was so bad that yeah, a lot of people were waking up and that's just accelerating now because crime is, is so bad. The
now
immigration is so bad. So yeah, that's the um my little thing on that we're brainwashed. Well, we weren't really brainwashed. We had it good, but then now we're waking up, and then we're like, but was it good? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And a lot of people are really pissed off about that.
now Doug Ford, refresh my memory, is the premier of the Alberta province. Am I wrong about that, or
Ontario,
Ontario? Okay, Ontario. So that kind of puts you roughly in my Canadian geography, if I remember correctly. That kind of
north of
puts
you.
you north of me, direct north. That's right. Okay, Toronto being okay. Now I'm starting to remember. All right.
So I am in southwestern Ontario. I'm actually pretty much just right across the lake from Robert, actually. So yeah, that's
Okay.
that's that. Most of Canada lives in southwestern Ontario.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing to me because, I mean, being a host, you're always trying to find a funny angle to bring up a conversation. And I suppose, and I'm not, by the way, this comment is not directed to anyone in chat, either on Rumble or YouTube. They can say whatever they want. That's up to them. But, for me, it's like there is no way in the world I can sit here and criticize the Canadian government anymore after what we've gone through down here in the States with almost the same thing. I think both of our peoples, the Canadians and the Americans, are going through a degree of becoming awakened to how tyrannical their respective governments are. Trudeau, and again, this is not me pumping up the Americans saying, "Oh, we're so much better than you are." You can make a pretty good argument. Trudeau took it to such tyrannical lengths that even we were sitting down here going through what we were going through. We're sitting up there looking up north, going, "What the hell is going on up there?"
But it's
And
but
go
it's
ahead.
not just Trudeau, right? I mean, he's the beautiful, 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 beautiful thing about America, I believe it is the 10th Amendment.
All
Which,
power reserved unto the states. That's correct.
you know what's weird? I shouldn't know the Constitution as good as I do. I know it better than many Americans do. That should
That's the
terrify
weird part.
everybody. I almost know that better than I know my own Charter of Rights.
Okay.
But anyway, um, yeah. So the beautiful thing is your 10th Amendment, right? So it's basically the United States equals America, and it's 50 essentially countries kind of joined together like Legos, and then they all have their own thing going on, and they sort of form this thing. Canada is, you know, provinces have their own things that they do, but the federal government can just go in there and start fucking about anytime they want. And it's everything. There's a lot of things that like reach across the entire country. For example, like if you commit a crime in British Columbia on the other side of the country, that's the same crime here.
There's not a provincial set of laws for one province and another provincial set of laws for another. It's just if you commit a crime over here, you're just as guilty as if you're in another province over there.
Well, the provincial things would be like speeding, right?
Okay.
Speeding, maybe jaywalking, some like small little things like that where you're too noisy, small little things.
Okay.
But things like assault is assault is assault. It's the same statute. It's the Criminal Code of Canada.
Okay.
So it's a lot of things like that it just stretches where one state's assault is not the same as the other. It's different. If you are, I'm pretty sure if you're because it's the same. I think you can be a lawyer in if you're a lawyer in one province. I think you can be a lawyer in many of them because
Okay.
of it's the same laws. Anyways, the point is, I'm almost forgetting what the point was. Um, I forgot what the point was.
Okay. Well,
That's
we,
ADHD.
don't worry. Don't worry. It'll all. It's kind of like all cosmic and yoga ish, and it all kind of like
Oh
works its
no, I
way back.
remember. See, it
Oh yeah.
comes back to me. Right.
See.
So it's not all Trudeau. So we do have premiers. So in
Mhm.
British Columbia, we have that is the that's our California.
Okay.
Imagine California and Oregon put together
Okay.
and then set it on fire. That's what British Columbia is. So
Okay.
their premier um was like, why have drugs illegal? We don't need that. Like, we can just drugs for everyone. And that's what they're dealing with.
Damn
But
magnanimous of them.
yeah, but because drugs are illegal across the country, BC went to Trudeau and was like, "Hey, can we have special permission to do this pilot project?" And then Trudeau was like, "Yes, of course you can. Drugs for everyone." And then so it's not just Trudeau, it's some of the
I
premiers
understand.
are really, really bad. There's a couple of them that are okay, but even the Doug Ford, my premier in Ontario, he's a conservative, but he's awfully fucking liberal for a conservative.
Okay.
It
Well, now
makes me mad.
let me ask you a question because I was going to swerve into the topic of Canadian politics, but oh, what the hell, we're already here, which is one of the glorious things I was looking forward to with this conversation. Um, I used to say I understood what the difference was between an American conservative and American liberal, but since you are the guest of the Electronic Front Porch this evening, and it is your country, for the benefit of people who are trying to understand Canadian politics, because let's be honest, I got listeners here from Michigan, I got listeners from Ohio, I got listeners from all over the place, hopefully all over the world someday. Which, by the way, that's a really cool thing I had happen when I first got my channel started. I got uh, a message from somebody in South Africa that watched one of my videos, and I'm sitting here going, "The hell are you doing in South Africa watching my videos, you lunatic?" But I mean,
That's
for
nice when you know that of like, I've affected somebody's day on the other side of the world.
I got one time from Romania, I got one from South Africa, and I'm sitting there going, "Boy, I don't know what you're doing, but you did it. You did it right at least once." So anyway, back to my question. Um, for the benefit of people watching this and they're trying to understand your country's politics,
Mhm.
what is the difference in your mind between a Canadian conservative and a Canadian liberal? Is there such a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
If you were to, I guess, envision your political spectrum as a line,
Okay.
political spectrum's a circle, but for this,
Mhm.
we're gonna call it a line. And then you have like your centrists, obviously in the center, right? And then as you go left, you have your Democrats and all of that. And then the Canadian one, if you would put the same thing, so
Okay.
centrists and then liberals. And then next to that is the NDP. That's the New Democratic Party. They're socialists. That's bad. We don't want socialism. We're fucking goddamn near there already. And then beyond that is the Green Party. They're actual communists, and then beyond that is like
Trudeau.
no, just it's worse. And then going the other way, so center, then we have something called the Conservative Party of Canada. It's a very big section of that.
Okay.
And then we just recently we had a new party. You you may know one of our peers, Viva Fry. He actually ran for this party. So there's a new party on the far side of the Conservative Party of Canada called the People's Party of Canada. That
Okay.
is the equivalent to MAGA,
Okay.
right? And so if you have these two lines and they're lined up, you would basically shift the Canadian one leftward.
Okay.
So the equivalent of I'm not explaining this well. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
A because we are more left.
Okay.
We're overall a significantly more left country. We're trying not to mix up. Your why can't I figure this out? Your conservatives. No, out.
Let me try. Let me
No,
try.
I can't even picture it in my mind right now. And I used to know the answer to this very, very well.
Okay. Well, let me try it. Well, four kids, and staying at home will go through brain cells in a hurry. Let me try it this way. If I took AOC and plugged her into the Canadian political system,
Should be the new Democratic Party.
okay, which is Trudeauish.
No,
Trudeau?
Trudeau is liberal. Trudeau is center left.
Okay. She'd be lefty, past Trudeau.
Yeah.
Okay. If I took, let's say, if I took a Joe Biden and plugged him into Canadian politics, Joe Biden would be
He would be a liberal.
okay. If I took Donald Trump and plugged him into Canadian politics,
He
People's
would
Party?
technically be the People's Party of Canada.
Okay.
Because
All right.
he's so he'd be the far right. The People's Party of Canada only has like a 6% or 8%, which is really good for a party that just started and everyone is too scared to vote for.
Well, it's almost like Great Britain with the Brexit Party. Nigel Farage's gang of hooligans in the British House of Commons, a very small but very vocal little minority that's working their way up, slowly through the ranks of British politics. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're Justin Trudeau. Well, I shouldn't say you're Justin Trudeau, because if you had your way about it, the only thing you're and Trudeau that would connect would be your boot up his ass. Mr. Trudeau is in deep political doo-doo, which I think is the technical political science term for it. Why do I get the feeling that the good people of Canada have quite had enough of Mr. Trudeau's antics, and they're about ready to bounce this guy? Am I hearing that correctly, or?
Yes.
Well, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Because, I mean, there's one thing I love about Canadians. I love you guys. There's one thing about you guys. You all are the most, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, y'all are some of the most tolerant people on planet Earth. I mean, bless your hearts, you have to light dynamite off under a Canadian's ass to get him upset about something, usually. Now, if I'm wrong in that assessment, straighten me out. But you guys are some of the most tolerant people in the world. But what did Justin Trudeau finally do, the straw that broke the camel's back, that the whole country of Canada is like, we're done. When's the next election, please?
I don't think there was a single straw.
It's an accumulation of aggravation.
I mean, the COVID policies, the unvaccinated people are the fringe minority with unacceptable views, and how do we tolerate these people? I don't know, I have a great idea. Let's bring an actual Nazi into parliament and celebrate him.
Oh God, I
That
saw
that
that.
was that kind of made a clown of us. The thing is, Justin Trudeau has more scandals under his belt than any politician in Canadian history, let alone prime minister. And the thing about this is, any one of his scandals, any just one of them, would have sunk the political career of any other prime minister that we've ever had in history. So, for some reason, he's this weird sort of Teflon kind of figure, and I would think that's really when the media started to um morph into something that it was never before, right? So
Mm.
like the blackface scandals, when it's like, well, one reporter actually had the balls to ask, "Hey, Justin Trudeau, can you round to the nearest 5 of how many times you've been caught in blackface in your life? How many photos are going to come out where you're in actual blackface, minstrel blackface? How many? Can you round to the nearest 5?" He's like, I can't. I have no idea.
That was his answer?
Yeah, he's like, I can't do that. Or the time where he physically assaulted, he elbowed a conservative MP, a woman, in the chest, right in the tit, elbowed her, and then he was like leaving the his seat in the chambers, and there was like a thing, and he walked right past this woman and just as if it was like a hockey game or something. And she was like, "Oh my god, my boob." And that should have been enough. Or I don't know, him cavorting with the Aga Khan, taking like bribes and stuff like that. Or fancy trips and gifts and stuff that was illegal. The RCMP has actual evidence of like crimes
All right,
on him.
RCMP is what exactly?
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
So
It
that would be your nation's equivalent of the FBI,
Yeah,
or
well, it's our FBI, but it's also multiple agencies put into one. But yes, it's our federal police force, the Royal
okay,
Canadian, the Royal Mounted Canadian Police.
okay.
And yeah, they're like, we have a bunch of evidence that he did commit a crime, but we the RCMP, one, are his lapdog, and two, we don't actually know if we're allowed to arrest a sitting prime minister. It's never been
What?
done. It's never been contemplated. We've never been in this position, and we would rather just not fucking bother. And then because Canadians are so polite, we're like, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We've never had a prime minister this corrupt before, so I guess it's fine. We'll just wait. We'll just wait to vote him out. And then the time came to vote him out twice, and China was like, actually, we'll just put our finger on this scale here. And then, so for the last 2 elections, Trudeau has managed to get a minority government, because with the help of Chinese interference, general, like actual interference, not like this Russia stuff that Americans talk about, but actual interference.
Yeah, because this is a question that Dave asked, and and this is something that I've wondered myself. Is the fact that Trudeau is still in power, is it that the people are so that tolerant of him, or it's just the opposition that should be there that you would naturally expect to find in an American system of government? Is just because I've heard Viva Fry on more than one occasion talk about your mutual government up there, and Viva's, and again, if you think he's wrong, set me straight. His criticism is there is no opposition. It's all just like kind of like one amorphous blob, which you might have one side of the blob and another side of the blob. But it's all like one blob. There's not really, here are the opposition, and here are our principles, and here are the policies that we want to lay down, and then there's this guy. It is that more or less the case? But as it's finally, is it that's the case, and it's finally reached a boiling point where it's like, that's it. We're getting an election, no minority government, no nothing. This bum and his ilk, they're out of here.
Um,
Now, there's always a side answer when I hear that kind of a chuckle. So here it comes, folks.
have you ever seen the clip or heard the story of how Klaus Schwab talks about how he's penetrated the more than 50% of the Canadian Parliament?
I believe I've seen the clip.
Yeah,
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
we are so in bed with the CCP, the Chinese government, but also we're so in bed with the WEF. Where if you were to imagine a a Diddy freak off party with all the baby lotion, and you had Justin Trudeau, the Canadian government, the UN, the WHO, and the WEF, and the Chinese Communist Party government, and they're all just fucking each other, and it's just that. That's basically what our government is.
So
It's all of that because I mean our Pierre Poilievre, the Canadian the Canadian opposition leader. So he is the leader of the Conservative Party. He's likely going to be the next prime minister.
okay.
He wants to he wants to talk tough. He wants to be like, we're the common sense conservatives. We're gonna make common sense things. We're gonna common sense away the crime. We're gonna common sense all this other stuff. And I said, great. What about my gun laws? Do you think I can maybe have a firearm again? Do you think maybe that's some common sense I'd like to have? Crickets. And then I'm like, oh, okay, all right. What about common sense? Get all of these goddamn illegals out of here. How about that common sense? Can we common sense some illegals out of the country? Well, he wants to talk about, no, you know what? Maybe we'll just bring them in slower.
Okay.
I don't want to bring them in slower. I want to get them out. I don't want them here. Because Canada has a habit, the bad habit of bringing in terrorists. Terrorists from India, for example. That's a big scandal happening right now in Canada.
What?
Oh yes, don't you know that Justin Trudeau has to save his own political life has decided to go to war with India? He just expelled all of the Indian diplomats because Canada has a habit of taking in Indian terrorists.
Oh my God.
So
And
India likes to be India, right?
Mhm.
And there's a section of residents of that country that want to break away. They're separatists. They're terrorists in the eyes of India. They want to form Khalistan. And so what has happened is that they have fled India. They've come to Canada, a lot in BC, many in Toronto, and they've basically used Canada as a staging area so they can attack India.
Oh God.
Well, why are we in this fucking fight? We shouldn't be, but somehow it's fine where we can do that. And so it is alleged that India has sent hitmen to Canada to kill some of the terrorists. It is alleged because one terrorist died somehow. And so anyways, that happened a few 2 years ago or something like that. But then just the other day, Justin Trudeau was like, that's it. We're kicking the Indian diplomats out. And it's like, why are you doing that right now? It's because a lot of people are so mad with Justin Trudeau that we want him to resign. They're like, you're not going to win this election. You can't. You're underwater in the polls, like by significant margins. The only way that you could possibly come back and win is if China really pushes on the scale again for you. And so he started this whole political thing with India, and it's to take the attention away. And so now we're a laughing stock of the world again.
Oh, gee. So when is your next federal election up there?
I think next fall.
Okay. So about a year after ours.
So our elections have to be every 4 to 5 years or so, right?
Okay.
But often, if you get a minority government, you typically find yourself with 18 months or so, because
Okay.
a minority government doesn't get
It's almost like the French or the British in one sense. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but what has happened is Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party and the NDP party, they're sort of holding hands in bed together, and they've
Mhm.
sort of made a coalition government, so they can't be toppled, they can't be defeated. And so the leader of the NDP, he's a Sikh fella named Jagmeet Singh. He's a
I've
real piece of garbage.
I've
He is
heard of
such,
this cat.
he is such a fucking asshole.
How much of a fucking asshole is he?
He's a champagne socialist, genuinely. But he wants to be a real big tough guy, where he'll stick up for people, but then he's the reason why he decided to I don't know, let go all of his values and whatnot, is because if you serve in parliament for X amount of years,
Yes.
you get a really, really, really hefty pension, a full pension of millions of dollars. And
Mhm.
so, if he were to stop supporting Justin Trudeau and call an election, his seat might not be as secure as what he wants. So,
Oh,
so it's like, okay, we see what you're doing. We see you
Fisher.
get your pension right before we're supposed to have an election. So you're gonna prop up this, allow the more and more and more extreme policies to go through, so you can get your bag, while climate fucking taxes are going in, and like gas taxes, and the free drugs for everyone, and the inflation's going through the roof. Like, my wife came home today with like a little bag of grapes, just a little bag of grapes,
Okay.
and she's like, do you know how much these grapes were? I was like, I have no idea. She's like, $5. Like, there's like 7 grapes, and she's like, it's $5. That's why I only got one. I'm like, okay, kids, you got 3 grapes each.
The knives are over there. The guns are over there. You guys fight it out, and whoever wins, you get the most grapes. Have at it.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically. And
Ooh.
yeah, so that's sort of why Canada is where it is right now. It's a mess, but the Conservatives aren't going to change it. I have that feeling it's a little. They're not going to make it worse. They're just not gonna make it better. They're not pushing a "Make Canada Great Again" thing and get the illegals out. So we're gonna have the same cunts running around here, still shitting on the beaches and in the streets, and doing all the bad things that they would have done in their home country.
Mm, 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 mm. Now, Leah over on the Rumble side has a question. Well, let me back before I do that. WWG1, who's one of my regulars, and I believe you become acquainted with he and the other members of the Wingnuts anytime you've hung out on the Rumble chat. Says
I
left
do like the Rumble chat.
Oh, the Rumble chat on my streams are not pretty good. They're very good because those cats, there is no comment they're not above making. That's all, and I love them for it.
It's the YouTube chat that I'm worried about.
Wait, it's the YouTube chat you're worried about. That's a spicy bunch over there. I'll have you know, they just not as perhaps free. Well, whatever. Don't you YouTubers start getting cranky on me over there. I'll somehow get into that explanation of that difference one day. Anyway, WWG1 says left versus right makes no sense these days. The proper verbiage is liberty versus tyranny. Amen to that, sir. And the instigator of this live stream, Miss Leah the Bookish, says, is Justin Trudeau worse than our governor in California? Because
They're cut from the same cloth.
Newsom is the asshole
Same cloth.
spawn of Satan, she says.
No, same cloth. They're
Okay.
they're like identical people.
Okay.
They're like these younger, handsome fella that think that they're so suave, and they can just like slide through any situation, and kind of like politic their way through, and they're gonna get through with a smile. And I saw one I think it was from um oh, was that the M169,
Ch- challenge.
one earlier up, where she said that she'll probably get a little flack, but a lot of women were probably like, "Oh, he's handsome. I'll vote for him." Listen, lady, You don't know how fucking right you are.
Here's the one you're talking about.
There was an exit poll when he was first elected, and even for the first couple times he was elected, women were like, "Oh, but he's just so handsome, and I really like his hair. Oh my god, his hair." Not even kidding. They were like, he has the best hair. What?
Look, if things don't work out for Donald Trump in American politics, if it's all about hair up in the Great North, let's send Trump up to Canada. He might wind up becoming your premier. I mean, for the love of God. I mean, if women are all about the hair up there in Canada and in Canadian politics, shit, let's just send Trump up there if it doesn't work out in November. Really,
Yeah.
Oh, word. Your good buddy Chris from the Morning Mayhem said, "This is the greatest train ride on the Autism Express I've ever been on. My brain ain't braining right now." Christopher, I will have you know, sir, we are not even on the train ride of the Autism Express. We haven't even left the station. That's how much fun this is going to be. Apparently Lana's like, "Okay, you want spicy? I'll give you spicy." There you go. Okay, I asked for it. Oh my, we're going to get spicy.
The media went so far to run multiple stories about how Justin Trudeau has the best socks. Oh my god. Just when he crosses his leg like a square, and his pants come up, you can see his socks. Oh, heavens to Betsy, the best socks ever. The actual stories in the news about that. And the women were like, "I know his socks and his hair. Oh, I'm so wet. I'm going to slide off my seat." It's disgusting. But now finally, because it's so bad, people are like, okay, I get it. This was a bad idea.
Well, and Gypsy does bring up a good point. Women in America, when Bill Clinton was president, they just adored that red bulbous nose of his for some reason.
Yeah, they did.
Well, okay, we are now 45 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. Let me do a real quick commercial on both of our behalves. If you have found your way to this live stream right now and you're listening to this inglorious back and forth that's going on, you have found your way to Chattin on the Porch. This is a live stream that I host on my channel. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. My guest tonight is probably one of the most interesting content creators in the whole of social media, quickly moving his way up the line to bigger and better things. He's got a channel on YouTube. He's got a channel on Rumble. He is Sean from Third Railify. If you are not subscribed to his channel, please do me a favor. Give this good man a sub. If you're not subscribed to my channel, what the heck is the matter with you? Give me a sub, for heaven's sake. So, yes, we are going to have an interesting conversation. Now, with that said, I had told you backstage that I've got about 8 different questions written down, and with deliberate purpose. And with the understanding, and I think my theory is proving true in the first 45 minutes, that I was going to basically give a topic and let you run with it. And we'll go wherever you want to take it. But since we're on the subject of your channels and your background, I want to get kind of into both of those if we could for a second. There you are living in the Ontario province. But past that, for people on my channel who don't know a lot about you or maybe haven't watched your content or live streams or whatever, tell folks about you. We know you're married with 4 children. But beyond that, where did you grow up? What was your family like? And, tell us about what you do when you're not doing this crazy thing we're doing. As much as you want to or not. It's entirely up to you.
You're going to have to guide me through that. That was already so much. I've forgotten most of the question.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so about me. Okay, so I'm 40. I know I may look 50. I may look like I've been fucked hard and put away wet, and it's kind of true. But I am 40. And I grew up in southwestern Ontario, specifically in London, Ontario. I went to police school. I went to police school, graduated with honors with police school. Didn't end up becoming a police officer, and that's probably for the best, because I would have been fired when the pandemic came along, because I wasn't taking that shit. I was just not taking it. That climate change business. Wasn't doing it.
All
So
right.
I would have been fired anyway. So it's probably for the best. But yeah, I went to police school, and life sort of has a funny way of redirecting you, sometimes entirely against your will. And I ended up a welder.
Did you
And
enjoy welding?
you know what? I was a no, I did not. But I was
Okay.
naturally good at it.
Okay.
It's, it's weird. It's weird how life goes. Hey, do you want to be a welder and make a reasonable amount of money gluing metal together with hot metal? Okay, I guess. So yeah, I ended up a welder, submerged arc welding, MIG welding, and stick welding.
Okay.
And so I did that. And yeah, for a little while, I worked at a Rona. A Rona is like a Lowe's,
Okay.
right? That's where I met my wife.
All right. Well,
That's the only
tell us about Mrs.
that's the only reason why I bring that up. So I was working. I ran the electrical department there, and one day this new girl walked by, and I was just like, "Oh my god, Imma have that." And just this really tall, leggy redhead, and I was just like, "Oh my god." And that was
Redhead, you say?
yeah.
Oh, that's the first sign of trouble right there, brother. That's the
Yes, I
first sign
know.
of trouble.
Yes, yes, I know. So before being a welder, I was actually a I guess a renovation carpenter for a while, and I told my boss, and then he was like, "Oh no, you stay away from that. You stay away from the redheads. They're trouble. They're trouble."
Your boss was right.
Yes, he was. Emphatically, yes. Yes, he was. But anyway,
Okay.
so my lovely, beautiful wife Janelle is well, she's something. And and yes,
That's a real loving way.
no, no,
She's something. Oh.
she's I love her to pieces. And yeah, we had 4 kids in 4 years, because why pull out when you could just leave it in? I have no pull out game. So 4 kids in 4 years. Beautiful, beautiful boys. I love them to death. 6 years old, 5 years old, 4 years old, and 2. Um,
Wait. 4 boys?
4 boys, all autistic. Hooray for me. High five. And
And and you're married to a redhead.
yes.
Dear Lord.
It doesn't end there.
I have more to pray for. Please
Yes,
continue.
because you might go, "Sean, Jesus Christ, you have 4 young sons and they're all autistic? Isn't
Yeah.
that weird?" That's what I said. And then, we were like, "Okay, well, they all have different levels of, childhood vaccinations, and they vary from all to none. Doesn't matter. They all have different levels of just everything.
Right.
I'm not autistic. I mean, I am at ADHD as it gets, but, um and then my wife was like, "Huh, kind of weird, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yes, like I know the rates are like 1 in 36 or 1 in 22 in some cities, which is shocking, but 4? What in the fuck?" And so anyway, she's like, "I wonder if I'm autistic." I'm like, "Actually, that sounds about right." And then so she got checked, and turns out not just a redhead, also autistic. But I love her to death. So I'm drowning in autism, drowning in it.
Wow.
I love my family. I would die for them. But yeah, so that's that. That's why I'm a stay-at-home dad. I climbed my corporate ladder. I mean, you can not really go up so high being a welder. I mean, I knew 3 different welding styles and all that. And my wife was like, "Hey, do you mind if I try to climb my corporate ladder?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, sure. I'll stay home." I quit my job,
Mhm.
and I was like, "All right, kids, I'm gonna let's go on this adventure together." And then I thought, I'm home. I have little bits of free time here and there. I mean, maybe I can maybe I can, I don't know, build up something, make some friends, be able to talk to grown-ups. Maybe some shekels here and there will come from this. I bought the bare minimum of equipment, and I mean, on the one hand, that's a good idea, but now that I've reached the size that I am, god damn it, I wish my computer wasn't like this, wasn't this big.
Yeah. Oh, brother.
My computer fits in this box.
And okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm like, I wish I had a bigger one. So yeah, I was like, maybe I can, because I miss pulling my weight financially.
Mhm.
And so I was like, maybe I can, I don't know, get some ad revenue or whatever. And so I started doing this.
Now you said something interesting. Let me get in a couple of comments on try and getting comments on both sides here. First of all, we've been paid a compliment by our mutual Leah. She says, "Why do you think I go crazy when you and Sean and Robert are all together? You three have looks and oh, fine, she left me out on that one. Finally, I see how you are. But she paid you and Sean and Robert a very nice compliment. Said you guys look good and you have nice voices. So there you go. What else have we got here? The idea of Sean in a police uniform, though, says Leah. Morning Mayhem says, never a dull day in the house of Third Railify. There you go. And Leah was like, I did warn Brian about Sean and his no filter. Look, Leah, you know my rules when it comes to this sort of thing. I don't care what anybody says on my channel. I really don't. I mean, most people who come on here very much know the rules of the YouTube police. Rumble, I'm not even worried about. So yeah, I don't care. But yeah, I mean,
Very much in my mind. Am I like, we're on YouTube, we're on YouTube, we're on YouTube. I only stream to Rumble because I mean, if I want to say some slurs, I want to say some slurs.
I understand, and daggone it, it is free speech.
If I want to say some Melanie Mac words, I want to do it.
God love that girl. God love her. She's a doll. She's an absolute doll. Let's see what else have we got over here on the YouTube side. Seabass is just going. He's going ham, as the kids say these days. Brenda says, I have two grandchildren that are autistic. My prayers for you. Love to your boys. Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Brenda.
thank you. That's very kind of you.
Very kind of. And by the way, if you have questions for Sean, I mean, feel free to drop them in. I mean, don't let me hog the conversation. I mean, this is as much for all of you all as much as it is for me. So now, Third Railify. I mean, everybody comes up with their channel by name by way of one different inspiration or another. But when you decided to get into this crazy social media thing, how did you come by the title of Third Railify?
Oh boy. Well, I
Let me
guess.
get a sip of water for that one. Here we go.
Well, no. Okay. So a few things. One, thank you, Steven Crowder. Two, naming things is hard. Just ask my son Rory, not spelt Rory. And it's Ruairi. And and also because if you ever listen to a Tim Pool video
On
and
occasion, I've watched the Beanie. Yes.
you listen to him dance around YouTube monetization lines, basically giving up all of his principles so he can stay on that stupid fence, not really, talking about a third rail issue and all of this, just kind of dancing around. And it's just like, oh my God, that it, I hate it. It makes me mad. It makes me live it. I'm like, just pick a side. Just say it. Yes, I know that you love money. Okay. I get it. We all do. I wish I had some, but I don't. But the thing is, I'm not I'm not gonna talk about a third rail issue and then be like, oh no, it's totally this milk toast thing. It makes me so mad. So every issue nowadays is a third rail issue. And if you guys don't know what a third rail is, a third rail is the rail on a subway track that powers the train. If you touch the third rail, you die. A
Yep.
third rail issue is a topic often used in sort of like the political sphere that if a politician touches it, it kills their political career, right?
Yep.
So, but since everything is now, if not already, a third rail issue, you could easily make it a third rail issue.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I mean, you can't come up with something. I mean, masks. It was a third rail issue, and that's just masks. I mean, like whether or not a bullet hit the side of Trump's head, that was everything is a third rail issue. Everything there's a divide. There is no subject that's just a subject anymore. Not really. I mean, maybe if you want to talk about I don't know, gardening, maybe. Actually, maybe not even gardening, because did you know gardening is one of the reasons why kids are having heart attacks nowadays? It's not, but the papers are saying so. You can't garden because it causes heart attacks. That, cold showers, and a bunch of other things explain why kids fall over. So I mean, there's like almost nothing that's just a topic. Everything's a third rail issue, and if not, you can easily make it one. It's almost like you can third railify an issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I to
That's kind of how I got to that.
to to answer your question about Tim Pool, that boy has the linguistic tap dance talent of a Fred Astaire. I do. I mean, look, I like Tim for different reasons. I dislike him for others, but I got to give the boy credit. That young man can absolutely. I agree with you. He can tap dance his way around something, stay on the good side of YouTube, and make you believe he's actually taking a position on an issue. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't do it all the time, but if it's something hot, he will just Fred Astaire his way around that subject,
It makes me
and
mad. Makes me
yeah,
mad. This
yeah,
this whole thing about the election wasn't stolen. Trump was just anti-elected. Fuck you. Fuck you. In your stupid beanie, that's not what happened, and you know it.
don't hold back, Sean. Tell me what you really think.
And and all of this, all of the time, where he talks about, oh, Trump has awful character defects. I'm going to vote for him, but I have to put it out there. He's got horrible. He's crude and boorish and all of these things. But foreign policy. But negative. But I'm going to vote for him. And then you're like, okay, so that's your position. But then he'll do a video about how like the memes are coming out and whatnot, but they're not good enough. And then he misses the old Trump mean tweets because those were so good. And you're like, oh, yes, you missed the mean tweets. Yet in this last video, you said, oh, that's a character defect and you wish you didn't have it. Make up your fucking mind. But then also when he's like, listen, guys, I can't stream to Rumble. I mean, we just don't have the technology. We can't make it work. Really? You can't make it work with your fucking tech officers and all the people in your office? He's like, we just can't do it. And then he's like, oh shit, CNN, it might rip down my stream. So I'm going to put it up on Rumble. I'm like, oh, now you can do it. And then all of a sudden he's like, nah, I'm not going to do it anymore because of the money. I'm like, I knew it. I've been saying it all the time. It's about the money. You fucking dishonest asshole.
Yeah, I mean,
I rant about that a little bit because when you become a creator and you see, you sort of do the thing and you know how the sausage is made, and then you have a person on there, being like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, you're fucking lying to everybody. Like, it's not real. It's a lie. It just makes me mad.
Well, I mean, here's the thing from my perspective. I mean, Pool is up there on a level with guys like Crowder, the Quartering, Viva. Viva's reached that point. I mean, he's reached that point. And a handful of others, Benny Johnson, etc. And each one of them has their pluses and minuses. And I mean, I'm not going to say just dissect them, but my point is this. Tim is at a point by way of organizational capability that if he wanted to turn that whole baby over to Rumble and just cut loose, he could do it. But on the other hand, he stays on YouTube, which, okay, I can understand. From a financial standpoint, I can understand the argument why you stay on YouTube. I get it. I mean, I reached out to a content creator, fairly well known, and I'm not going to drop her name just for the sake of the privacy of the conversation. And I asked them this question. I was like, look, I'm starting out my channels. Am I better served to stay on Rumble or on YouTube? And I listed to them what my thoughts were about both platforms. They said They said, look, you're right. Rumble gives you more free speech. But let's be honest, YouTube is the biggest kid on the block. They've got more people, they've got the tools, they've worked the bugs out. You can hate everything about them, but as far as the mechanics of what they do, it's the platform to be on. I was like, all right.
It is unmatched.
Unmatched. However, with the financial resources that a guy like Tim Pool has, and with Rumble's quickly evolving content creator platform system, which is starting to rival StreamYard. It's not there yet, but it's getting closer all the time. They're making innovations to that thing constantly. It's not going to be long before, if big content creators want to go exclusively to Rumble, they can make it work. But Tim won't do it because of the financial aspect of YouTube, which is fine. That's his decision. But on the other hand, please don't sit there and play poor, pitiful me, the martyr. Oh my God, I'm standing up for free speech over here on YouTube, when the reality is, okay, dude, I love you, but let's be honest about it. You're making this decision based on money, which fine, that's your business, but please don't sit there and try and represent it to be something other than what it is.
That 100%, 100% how I feel.
Yeah.
Like when I started this, my channel is kind of loosely sort of based on the idea of the quartering. So the way I describe my channel is if the quartering. Now chat, listen, I want you to have the most vivid imagination and really picture what I'm saying. And I'm sorry.
With this bunch, you're not going to worry about that. Trust me.
I want you to imagine the quartering, Jeremy Hambly and Salty Cracker making love. And they don't have a pullout game, okay? And so then what happens is they have a baby, and that baby is me. And then they sent it to Canada to be raised by the mighty goose. That is third Railify. So that's usually how I describe my channel. Is if you took quartering and Salty Cracker, they had a baby, sent it to Canada, raised by the mighty goose, huzzah, you get me. And yeah, that's kind of that. My channel's kind of like that. I like to do, the standalone videos because of the ad revenue that I can't get now because I'm demonetized on YouTube. I mean, all I did was say, hey, you know what? Maybe Jeffrey Epstein is bad, and then YouTube was like, whoa, hey, you can't say that. That's cyberbullying and harassment. I'm like, what do you mean that's cyberbullying and harassment? He's long since dead. I haven't violated any law on the earth. What the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, hey, you can't talk about pedophiles that way. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, because we like them. Anyways, I've been demonetized on YouTube for a little while now.
You don't say. I can't possibly imagine why.
I was so careful, and it was actually the thing that I've made some wild videos, and it was such a boring pedestrian video that got me taken off. I wasn't even inflammatory. It was other videos that deserved to get me demonetized. It's almost offensive that it was that one that did it.
I've got a Salty Cracker story for you, and I think you're going to love this if you've never heard it. You're familiar with the live stream Friday Night Tights?
Oh, God.
Okay. It was their 200th episode. And I mean, and you're a content creator. You know that if a live stream has been around for 200 episodes, you have survived a lot. You've gone through a lot, and you've grown as an institution.
Yes.
So for the 200th episode, the boys and girls at FNT invited on Alex Jones. And Alex
saw that one.
And Alex, for all the troubles that he was going through at the time, was in a really good mood. Okay. And he kept joking around about how he and the Salty Cracker went out to Las Vegas and got married, and how Salty looked great in the wedding dress. Well, Alex had to step off for a minute. Well, and Alex kept going on with this, right? Well, somewhere in the middle of it, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers sends a message out to Salty and says, hey man, Alex Jones is on here saying that, you guys got married out in Vegas and you look great in the wedding dress. You want a piece of this? So Alex leaves, and then lo and behold, here comes Salty. So when they bring Salty in from backstage, he gets really, I'm going to try and do this right. He gets really close up on the camera like this. And I mean, look, I love Salty, but let's just be honest, he's goofy looking as hell. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Goofy looking as hell, and he's real close up on the camera. That cracks everybody up. And the first words out of his mouth are, "I have no idea why I'm here," and everybody just busts a gut laughing. And from there, it just took off and went. So that's one of my better Salty Cracker stories. But yeah, it's amazing to me. Let's see what else have we got comments coming in. The professor's in the house. Good evening. As a content creator, I do my best not to worry about what more successful creators are doing. Everyone's success and appeal will be different. Does your guest agree with this assessment? Sean, I'll let you take this one.
Yes. However,
Okay.
it's hard not to compare. It's hard. I try not to.
I'll give you that.
Especially when you have creators that are about your size, and you interact with them, or maybe are friends with them. Looking at you, Chris, and then all of a sudden, it's like you blink and you're like, whoa, how did you get like 500 more subscribers? What the fuck are you doing? What is your secret? And then they're like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just being me. And you're like, well, okay, that's crazy. I need to be you too, I guess. And then, because there's various plateaus, and there's like hidden trip mines, and there's unwritten rules, and then there's algorithmic voodoo, and there's
preach,
all kinds of stuff that you don't even know what's happening. And then sometimes, for some reason, you might do a video and it goes nowhere. And then 2 years down the road, and I have a great story about this specific example. 2 years down the road, all of a sudden it blows up, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" And I did okay. So I tend to cover a lot of sort of third rail stories, right?
Okay.
And way back when, I covered a story about a law that happened in Spain.
Okay.
This law was you're allowed to have intercourse with an animal, as long as you don't hurt the animal. It only becomes a crime if you cause that animal. This is Spain, a reasonably sophisticated country, right? It's a first world country.
You are stretching the word reasonable, my man. You are really stretching the word reasonable here.
It's Spain, right? I mean, it's the first world country, is it not? Maybe it's I don't know. It's Spain. I think of it as a reasonable country. Anyway, the point is, so that's their law. They changed it. They changed it from don't hump your dog to hump your dog gently. And I did a story on that. And some people were like, people don't hump their dogs. That's so funny, whatever. And I put in a bunch of stuff that white women really like to hump dogs. It seems it's weird. I'm sorry, chat. I'm so sorry, but that seems to be a thing. Anyways, the video did what I would expect it to do. Usually, you realistically, on average, if you have X amount of subscribers, you're going to usually get about 10% of that in views, right? So 1,000 subscribers, you're about 100 plus or minus views on that. And it did about what I expected. And then I was like, okay, on to the next one, right? That's sort of my thing. On to the next video. Forget that one, whatever. Always forward. And it was like a year and a half later, all of a sudden, my YouTube back of house started being weird, and this video kept popping up, and I checked the analytics on it, and it had its usual little up. People watched it, and then it was dead. Where is in the graveyard, just a flat line. And all of a sudden, like a year and a half later, all of a sudden, it was like boom, like a hockey stick. I'm like, how the hell is this caught on like so far late? Like, what a weird thing. And by then, my style had changed. My OBS overlays had changed. My intros, my everything. I was a completely different content creator by this point. Because I'm always trying to, again, always forward, always trying to be better and more polished and whatever. And it was just the weirdest thing. So, don't I it's hard not to like look at your peers and see what they're doing. And Jordan Peterson probably says this best, and I'm not going to do what he says justice. I'm probably going to butcher it, but forgive me. So Jordan Peterson is um, a man that I've met and that I adore. He says something along the lines of, "Don't compare yourself to somebody else, because the best analog you can compare yourself to is you. You don't know what that person's been through. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know, how they're built or anything about them. You can't compare yourself. The only person that you can compare yourself to is you. So you need to basically take stock of who and what you are, and then, aim up and improve. And then look back at that perfect analog that was you and see how you've done." So when, I look at Chris, for example, the Morning Mayhem, and I see, "Oh my god, you've got all of these subs." Part of me is like, "Oh my god, it's probably that sultry voice." You talk to Chris, oh my god, that voice. Let me tell you, if I was a lady, hearing that voice, it would make me want to sit on my speakers. The rumbling of his voice, oh heavens. Just saying. You're gonna find you chat, you're gonna find out in a couple days. And I'm gonna be in the chat to remind you. But like, he's gonna talk. He's gonna be like, "Hello, ladies," and then you're gonna be, "Oh my god, that Georgia voice!" It's I'm just saying. So I look at him and I'm like, yeah, he's doing something, but then I have to realize I'm not him. He's running his race, and he's doing great. I love him. I'm proud of him. I gotta focus on mine. Maybe I'm not doing something, and I gotta sort of like look back at what I was doing, what I'm doing now. How can I be better? But yeah, it's hard. It's
Well,
absolutely hard.
the one of my favorite collaborators that I love to work with when occasion allows it, the professor, we lovingly refer to him, the Professor Christian Watson, is paying you a high compliment. And I've known this young man now for a little while. He is not one to BS anybody. So I put this up here for your edification and benefit. Brother, let me tell you something. I'm not worried about your channel. Your channel's going to take right off. And I agree with Christian.
See, okay, so another thing
Yes.
is you go to
Yes.
Social Blade, and Social Blade will say, "Okay, this is where you were, this is where you are. What we project for you is whatever." And it shows you the projection of what it assumes based on all the fucking voodoo magic of the algorithms and science.
Mhm.
Science. Um, I checked out Chris's channel, and it's like, "Oh yeah, project. It's gonna be like this. Whoa, look at that! It's to the moon." And then it's like, "Oh, that's amazing." Check out mine. It's like, "We project your channel next year is going to be dead." I was like, "What do you mean dead?" They're like, "Dead, DED, dead." I'm like, "That's not even how you spell it." And so I was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
Well,
I guess
okay.
Rumble maybe is the future.
2 points. In similar fashion to the good Dr. Peterson, I was watching an interview recently with Megyn Kelly. And I love Megyn for a number of different reasons. But one of them is she has a very unique perspective on what we do, because let's be honest about it. Megyn Kelly is doing what you and I are doing right now. Now, granted, on a much bigger scale, with a whole lot more access to people that we may not be able to get to yet. Notice I'm optimistic. But she was doing it. She was a guest on someone's live stream, and I can see his face, and I cannot think of his name. But she said one of the best pieces of advice that she was ever given is work on improving the product. And she said, when I came to social media, that's what we started doing. She said, I started out as a podcast. And now, we're up to a staff of 6 people. We're cranking out numbers on YouTube that are just extraordinary. She's like, I'm blessed beyond all imagination, but I'm constantly focusing on what can we do to improve it? What can we do to make it better? What can we do to refine the edge of the sword? What can we do to constantly, up the game? And I thought, God, that's probably one of the best pieces. I mean, I get all kinds of advice from people. I don't discount any of it. I love everybody who, in one form or another wants to see my little going concern become a going big concern, as I jokingly refer to it. But I thought that's got to be one of the best pieces of advice I've had in a while. Don't worry. I
Mhm.
mean, just work on improving the product. The rest of it kind of comes along by itself. And you know, yeah, I think it is a glorious time in the history of the world. And you probably at one time or another come across Culture Casino, content creator out of on the West Coast. Great guy. If you've never met him before, he covers
I
the
only know Kino Casino. I don't know Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. You would probably like. He covers the business side of Hollywood, and he's been on my channel a couple of times.
Like Valiant Renegade.
Yeah, he and Valiant are good buddies. They're real good buddies. And I was talking the first time he was ever on my channel, and I had a conversation with him. I said, "Let me ask you something. How big of a threat are guys like you and me to establishment media or Hollywood or both?" He said, "We are existential." I said, "Why?" He said, "Think about it. For the cost of the what it took for you to be doing a live stream right now, it costs Hollywood or major news organizations multi-millions of dollars to put on the exact same thing, and we have just as much potential to reach as much or many as more people than they do." He said, "And they know it." And he said, "Inevitably, they're dying off." He said, "So between that factor and the fact that we can do this at an infinitesimal amount of the cost, it's scaring Hollywood and the news industry to death." And I thought,
Yeah.
that's an interesting perspective. I'd never quite heard that one before, but it's so true. So let me ask you a question as it relates to your channel.
Yeah, please.
Um, when you decide on a topic or you decide you want to bring on this guest, is there one set of things you're looking for, or is it kind of like, that great Chicago, the song? Yeah, let me restart my mouth. Is it kind of like that line from the song by Chicago? As I was walking down the street one day. In other words, you're going along, you find a topic or you find a guest and you're like, "Ooh, this is interesting." Or do you just or do you have a purposeful, okay, I want to focus on this thing and I'm looking for this person to talk to or this piece of information? How do you determine the content that goes on your channel?
By the seat of my pants.
Okay, fair enough. How's that flying working out for you?
I don't
And
know.
I'm not asking that to be a
No,
smart ass.
maybe no, genuinely, maybe it's bad. I don't know. Maybe it's not brilliant because I'm not bigger.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, um, so when I started this almost 2 years ago, I've been doing this 2 years exactly, just about.
Well, congratulations.
Where are we? We're
15th,
October.
15th of October 2024.
Yeah, so I think a couple days. I guess I don't know the exact date, but it was nearish the end of October. I started. Um, when I started this, even though my model that I follow is like the quartering, right?
Yeah.
Um, I originally decided I was going to take the Tim Pool approach because why would you alienate 50% of an audience? You walk that line, you can have both. Think of all the subs. Think of all of the money. And I won't hesitate for a minute to say, yeah, I'm interested in the money. I'm doing this for money. Because let's be honest, maybe let's be honest here. $20 is $20 if you know what I'm saying. Um, yeah, I'm doing it for the money because let me tell you, I have four, even though I have a 6-year-old, he's still in diapers. Do you know how much diapers cost for his fucking 6-year-old? Right? Autistic kids are expensive because they need autistic toys, they need autistic furniture, they need autistic diapers, they so that's why it was like, I'm in it for the money. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's also, it turns out the friendships are really great. Talking to people's really great, and all the I didn't realize there was gonna be so much awesome stuff. Turns out it's a great hobby. Video editing, playing with like Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro is actually really fucking fun, and it gives me a creative outlet. All so I can like decompress and whatever from my day, because let's be honest, a day in the life of Sean is like the Battle of Fallujah.
Dang.
Seriously, it's like the fucking Battle of Fallujah in my house every single day. And some people might be offended by that. Oh, people died in Fallujah. Yes, I know, and I'm not putting down their deaths. I just say that to be dramatic. But the thing is, though, I mean, like, you know how many times a week I have to clean shit, fucking brush shit out of one of my kids' teeth, out of their hair? It's a regular common occurrence. Seriously. Anyways, the point is, shit, I'm losing the point. Right. Um, I started being like, oh, I'll capture both audiences and I'll walk the line like Tim Pool.
Mhm.
And I couldn't do it. Holy cow, I couldn't do it. My videos were a little more academic. They were a little more boring, and then I would like edit them a little bit. Basically, because I don't have the time. All I can basically do is like early Smashing Pumpkins. You know how it was very raw. The edits were kind of quick and dirty, but it gave it that kind of feel. That's what kind of my videos are a little bit like. I might flub something real bad. I'll just chop that out. Sometimes because of the ADHD, I speak way faster than I think. Sometimes I'm not even thinking when I talk. And then I go, "Did I just say it? What the fuck's the matter with me? How did that get out of my mouth?" And it's too late at that point. But with
Mhm.
my videos, I can actually cut that out. Um and I would play back these videos and it was so boring, being academic, placating. Oh, what do you guys think about this topic? I don't know. I have no opinion. I'm just sitting on the fence. It was awful. And then one day I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. I don't care. I have to be me. I and I think I did that literally. Like my video started out being on the fence. And by the end of it, I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. This is who I am. And from that moment, that's basically how I've gone. It turns out I'm a conservative. Turns out, who knew? I didn't.
Yeah, what you're describing, I'm having flashbacks to comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, I would say Lenny Bruce if I really knew well his history, but I can almost see the same thing happening where it's like there's a constraint of certain behaviors you think you have to live under. And finally, those guys in their field of endeavor, which was comedy, they said, screw it. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then they made history. And and I want to thank Lutch, the Indian Jesus, by the way. If you've never had this young man on your channel, good guy. And as he will tell you himself, quite humbly, he does make a good guest. So thank you, Lutch. We do appreciate that. Let's see. I think we had a question for you. Hang on. Who did I see? I saw a question. I swear I saw a question. Hang on, y'all. Oh, yes. Does your guest ever watch Runkle of the Bailey? He's great for legal and firearms coverage.
I know Runkle.
You ever had him on the channel?
No.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. I figured two Canadians, at some point, your paths would have crossed on social media.
Um. I mean, they cross in they cross in the me going, oh, hey Runkle, and he's like, oh, hey person, I have no idea who you are, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. I kind of have, for better or for worse, I kind of have like imposter syndrome a little bit. Like
Mhm.
why? Like, I mean, I was even telling my wife, I was like, oh my god, I'm going on a show and I'm being interviewed. Why in the fuck would anyone want to interview me? Right? Like, what a weird thing. I'm not worth that. I'm literally I'm a nobody. So when I talk to big creators, like I've had potentially criminal, Sean Martin, right?
Okay.
Megan Fox,
Oh, Megan's a sweetheart. She's an absolute doll.
Christina Urso, Fair and Balanced. I mean, so I've had. I mean, they're big from my perspective, but they're probably just
Hmm.
like they're like middling creators overall.
Hmm.
And so when I have those, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna talk to you about I don't know how to interview, so usually it's just a rambling ADHD mess. And I tell the people, I'm like, listen, I don't know how to interview. I don't have skills. I'm most certainly not going to remember any questions. Sure, I could write them down, but who has time for that? So we're just going to talk, you and me, like we're old friends. I hope that's okay. And usually that goes along quite well.
I've sat around because I've had the privilege of interviewing a few people, that some of them recognizable names, some not. But I kind of treat it like an old friend taught me. Years ago, I had a buddy of mine who used to work in the Illinois state legislature. And one summer I went out to visit him. And it was probably early June. And if you know anything about the state of Illinois in the United States of America, they can never get their budget done on time. And this happened to be one of those years. Well, the legislature was in session. The House was sort of in recess at that particular moment. But, it's the state capitol, and there's lobbyists milling around and politicians milling around and everything else. And my buddy kind of nudged me in the ribs, said, "Hey, you want to go back on speaker's row?" I said, "John, are you nuts? I don't have an ounce of credential on me. I'm a guest in this building right now." He said, "Just walk with me and look like you belong." So here we go, walking down the sides and walking back on what's called speaker's row.
Is that like drip row at a strip club?
Well, there's money and prostitution of varying kinds involved. So yeah, I suppose you can make that argument.
It's the same thing. Who would have known?
It's the same thing. Anyway, so I look off to my right, and there literally is the Speaker of the House giving me the stink eye with a scowl on his face, like, "Who the heck are you? And what the heck are you doing on my speaker's row?" But he never messed with me. Why? I kept walking like I looked like I belong. I was like, "Hey man, how you doing? Good to see you." I mean, I was giving it this stuff, and sometimes, and this is just my advice for what it's worth, sometimes you just got to go in with that kind of like unconscious fearlessness. Just like, we're doing this thing. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. We're doing this thing. To the question of interviewing, if someone asks me, how did you figure out how to do an interview? I'm like, I have literally no idea. I do know what I think makes up a good conversation, but I have no idea how to interview someone. I really don't. I could not tell you how. If you ask me from a journalistic perspective, what is the proper steps to take when you are interviewing a subject? I don't know. I have no idea. I'll just sit down and talk with someone, and they'll either tell me what they know or they won't. And that's how I treat it, for what it's worth. So
yeah.
Now I got to ask you something. Since
Sure.
you're making videos, you're doing live streams, you're having guests on. Now, being a conservative in Canada, literally, I have no doubt that there are things these days that are, what's the expression I want to use? Grinding your gears. What's grinding your gears these days? In other words, your beloved Janelle looks, just, "Good morning, Sean. How are you?" And you're just sitting there with this, "God, you're so big motherfucker" look on your face. And you know that you're laughing. You know the look I'm talking about. And she's like, "What in the hell is the matter with you?" And then that was the wrong question for your beloved redheaded wife to ask you, because at that point, you're going off on a George Carlin styled rant. So what's grinding your gears these days?
First, I do want to apologize for my burnt toast moment where it looked like I was having a stroke, because I kind of was. The circling back, Jen Psaki style. American conservatives, Canadian conservatives are equal to American Democrats.
Okay.
That's how I was trying to envision and I was like, "No, is that right? No, is that right? Is that right? No." And I got myself really in a knot there. But yes, that's how it is. So our conservatives, the Conservative Party, is basically your Democrats.
Yep.
So that's how the things are shifted. So, you guys have your Republicans that can sort of slow the nonsense down. Our conservatives, they don't slow the nonsense down. They're just kind of like, well, we just won't do it so, open in your face. We're still going to do it. But,
But it's not going to be quite the shit show.
Yeah, that's
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Fair.
So the things that grind my gears right now. Like, do you mean like just like out there, like
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
world politically, just like that kind of thing?
like you read. I'll give you an example. Years ago, there was. I mean, and I'm a big music fan. Years ago, when the Eagles got back together, the great songwriting collaborators Glenn Frey and Don Henley sat down for the first time in years to actually write songs. And they were both a little nervous about this because they hadn't done it in years. And Glenn Frey looked at Don Henley and said, "So, what's on your mind these days?" And Henley, being the curmudgeon that he was and still is, by the way, he said, "God, daytime reality TV's pissing me off." And Glenn Frey kind of laughed and said, "Oh, come again with that?" He's like, "What is it with these interview shows? These people, they go on there all the time. They're talking about stuff that happened in their childhood. They're whining about everything." He's like, "Mother of God, these people, I just wish they get the hell over it." And lo and behold, that thing that was grinding Don Henley's gears, the just daytime TV, turned out to be one of the biggest songs the Eagles ever had in the second half of their career, the song Get Over It. All those lyrics in that song are basically things that came out of that conversation with Glenn Frey. He's just sitting there pissed off and just like, that's what I mean. It could be political, it could be social societal issue, it could be whatever the hell. It's just grinding your gears like, damn it, this is just stupid as hell, and I can't stand it, and I'm gonna do a video about it. I'm gonna rant, I'm gonna whatever.
You know what? It's almost hard to answer because there's so much. Like,
I give
it's
you
so
that one.
much. Like we're getting we're honestly we're getting poked at in every direction, right? You know, the fact um the fact that inflation is through the roof. If you guys knew our gas prices, you would probably have your own stroke. Like,
All right, what's the price? What's the price of a what is it, liter? Yeah, what's the
yeah, we're
price of a
gonna have
liter of gasoline?
oh, I don't know, it's like a buck 40. I think in BC, I think I saw 233, which I almost had a heart attack. I haven't seen that number in my life, but I think in my area it's like a buck 40 a liter.
A buck 40 a liter for gasoline?
Yeah.
I hate you. I
No, you
love you,
don't.
but I hate you.
No, you need to do somebody do the math on that, and you'll find it shockingly high.
Oh, okay.
Like
What is the conversion rate on Canadian to
like
US?
this is almost a liter.
Oh crap. Oh my goodness. Okay, now
You
I
do it
get
by the
now
gallon,
now I understand why your gears are grinding. Okay.
right? Like it's shocking, shocking. Yeah, okay. So like, you know, groceries. It's so hard to like get groceries. Gas is so high. Like the immigration, where it's just the numbers are so high. They've never been this high, and it's some of the worst people in the world where they're literally just shitting. They're shitting, digging holes in the beach and shitting in it. They're shitting on people's lawns and their driveways. It's in the middle of the streets, and then you know you film it, and then you put it on social media, and then the Ontario Provincial Police knock on your door and they say, "Did you do that? Take it down now, or we're going to arrest you." That's a thing that we have. I mean, it's so much, but also in media in general. Like, okay, so here's the thing. um, Love is Blind reality show.
Okay.
Much to your example, I sometimes occasionally love to watch some trashy TV with my wife. I don't often get to do it, but it's a nice way to spend a little bit of time with her throughout the week, you know, before we go to bed. And so we'll watch like a show like Love is Blind. Have you ever seen Love is Blind?
I don't think I ever have.
Well, with the premise is, you know, you got a bunch of men and a bunch of women, and then, you know, they're in pods with like a wall between them, and they talk. And the
Oh,
idea is, can you fall in love somebody sight unseen, just knowing everything about them, but not what they look
okay.
like?
Okay.
And then, you know, when they see, do you still love them? All that kind of stuff. And then after the fact, we'll see how compatible, blah blah blah, right? And so, I mean, it was a kind of cutesy kind of show. It's in the seventh season now, and each season is getting progressively worse, significantly worse. And in this one, there was the episode, and there all of a sudden, what seemed to be from the clear blue sky, all of a sudden they started talking about Trump and conservatives and how it's bad. I'm like, really, really, you can't even let me enjoy a Nick Lachey fucking reality show about maybe people falling in love without cramming Orange Man bad down my goddamn throat? Are you fucking kidding me? I can't go anywhere without the message being fucking, you know, stuck inside of me. That grinds my gears.
Okay. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm having visions of another content creator from across the pond, heel versus babyface, or as he's affectionately known to viewers of his channel,
I love
as.
ass.
Yeah.
I love me some Terrence.
He is a credit to his nation.
He is he's one of my favorite content creators.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And the boy, when it comes to because I mean, his principal argument, much like, for example, the Critical Drinker, Nerderotics, and so many other folks in that space of the interwebs, is look, we're not looking for conservative entertainment. We're not looking for liberal entertainment. We just want to be good quality entertainment that I want to escape. And that's why. And for those of you who've never seen,
you're playing a game that fucking pronouns.
Yeah, one of the most legendary rants in the history of social media. I
love
Terrence, or as he's known,
yeah,
was playing this particular video game, and it was the whole gender pronoun, the he, she, they, is, whatever's, and he for about 5 minutes went off. This rant is legendary. If you ever
that was
find
a year ago he did that, eh? We just had the anniversary of the rant.
I mean, people outside of social media were commenting on this. That is how epic this was. And I'm not saying it's epic necessarily because, he's just blowing off steam. No, he was making his points with the passion of someone who was charging at the gates of hell carrying a squirt gun. That's how much conviction he had behind every syllable of every word. And the principal message that he had was, stop ramming politics down our throats vis-a-vis our entertainment. We just simply want to escape for a while. But, they're not going to stop doing it. I say I'm talking about the entertainment industry in general. But yeah, I get why that one's grinding your gears, because, I mean, in your case, oh, honey, Katie Hopkins looks tame compared to what Az did in this thing. I mean, I get where you're coming from.
I watched that stream as it happened.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Gypsy. But on Katie's best day, I love Katie Hopkins to death, but there's no way she would have matched him. Not on this. This thing was epic.
Yeah, so it was Starfield, and then he started the game of Starfield, and it starts with pronouns, and then he was like, "Oh, fine, whatever," and then so it's like 7 hours in.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and it's a boring game. It's a bad game, but he's plugging away. I'm playing this shit game, so you don't have to. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, he was live streaming it, as I recall.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and then he got to this part where he's talking to a woman, a woman, and then she goes, "Hey, listen, before we carry on with our mission, I need to tell you something that I don't really need to tell you, but this is obviously a spot where I should interject this because I haven't fucked you with modern day California and for a little while. So let me tell you this. I'm actually a clone of a man." And it was just the dumbest fucking thing. It's like, well, how can you be a clone of a man if you're a woman?
And it added nothing of significance to the game. Nothing. If you'd have left it out, you'd have never.
It would have made no difference. But they shoehorned it in there. They shoehorned it in there with a goddamn like a fucking mace.
Yep.
And at that point, he was just like, "Fuck it," and he throws down, and it goes off. And then they turned it into a really good song.
Oh yeah, Perry Chan, that madman that he is, turned it into a ranting rap, for lack of a better way of describing it. But yeah, it was amazing. So I tell you what, let us do one quick last promo, and then we're going to bring the train into the station, so to speak. If you have come upon this live stream and you're listening to myriad number of topics and you're watching these two very eloquent men of two different nations exchange ideas as to how we ought to cure the problems of the world, then you have found your way onto a live stream called Chattin on the Porch, which is hosted by moi, the Front Porch Conservative. I have got channels on Rumble and YouTube. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. This devil over here is Canada's answer to George Carlin on a good day. This is Sean from Third Railify. He is a fantastic content creator. If you are not subscribed to his channel on Rumble and YouTube, go and do so. And by the way, I do believe you are on Twitter. Are you not?
I am.
Pray, where may people find you on Twitter?
At Third Railify.
Well, that was easy. Anyway, all right. Let's bring this train into the station with a couple of three subjects. Okay. No doubt, and quite obviously from conversation, you are well versed of what's going on in your government there in the Great North. From that said, you have no doubt made your observations about what's going on in the lower 48.
I'm more well versed in American politics than I am in Canadian politics.
Okay, all right.
That's girls.
Now, here we are, we crazy Americans, with about 3 weeks to go, with the potential of either putting former President Trump back into office, or we could elect Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, well, we know where you stand on that subject, but from a Canadian perspective, what do you and your fellow citizens think of American politics, or does it just sort of depend on your ideological bent? Because I know where you stand on this, but the average Canadian looks at what's going on in America and goes, the hell is the matter with those people down there? Or what, when you're talking with friends of yours, no doubt this comes up among your fellow Canadians. You guys are looking down here thinking to yourselves, oh boy.
I don't know, it's kind of, our politics are different. We do it differently.
Okay.
Probably because we're still part of the Commonwealth, right? We have a king in Canada. Like we have a king, and so we do it different. And what sort of happens here is sometimes our politics it drifts into the style of American politics, and then all of a sudden what happens is Trudeau and the Liberals, they will shout, oh my God, they are trying to bring American style politics into Canada. Can you believe that? We must stop it. Censor those people. Literally, that's what they do.
Okay.
Actually, recently, they literally started beating that drum, being like, oh my God, Pierre Poilievre, he's gonna be a Canadian Trump. And I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna make me vote for him extra hard now.
Okay.
But so they start beating this drum. Oh, you're gonna bring American style politics in, and then you know how Democrats did this. Oh my God, Republicans are so weird. Trump is so weird. JD Vance, that's weird. Conservatives, weird, right? The dumbest fucking attack vector that was. Jesus Christ. The moment that gained any traction and Democrats thought like, yes, we're going to get them because conservatives don't want to be labeled weird. We're going to make them feel bad about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Trudeau and his Liberals, all of a sudden, everywhere, they were like, these conservatives are weird, so weird. I'm like, are you bringing American style politics into Canada after saying that American style politics in Canada is bad? Of course you are, because you're a fucking hypocrite. Absolutely a hypocrite. And I can't wait for the worst things in the world to happen. The worst things to happen to him. And I'm talking like the worst things. Like one night he's walking and it's late at night and he's walking in his hallway in a shaggy carpet. There's a Lego. He's going to pee because he's like 50 years old, and by that time, you have to pee when in the middle of the night, and then
Yeah,
treads right on the Lego in the middle of the night. That's the worst thing that could happen, and I hope it happens.
So yeah. So now I have you.
But
Recently,
anyways, we think your politics are just they're fine. It is what it is. Like politics is downstream from culture, right? And I mean, your culture filters into Canada more than our own culture does, and so it is what it is. I mean, no one really looks at it and goes, "Oh my God, those Americans are so boring." It is what it is.
okay. Now, I did hear you recently express some thoughts about the Democrat nominee for president, Kamala Harris. Um, what? No, you know what? I'll just set it up this way. Let me just do this. I think your comments will probably what you said to Clancy will probably and Chris from the Morning Mayhem will probably come back to you. God forbid Kamala get elected, because if so, fill
I
in the
don't
blank.
remember what I said 15 minutes ago. I can't tell you.
Okay. Something along the lines of, you crazy Americans, don't you dare elect that woman. She is the worst thing could ever happen to you. Put Trump back in. For the love of God, you've got to save Canada. Trump might be the only thing that saves Canada and the rest of the world. I believe I'm quoting you about right.
Trump is a rising tide that will lift all ships.
Yep.
And a lot of people are like, you're Canadian. Why are you wearing a MAGA hat? I'm like, do you have time? Are you asking because you want to know an answer, or is this just a pejorative to put me down? Like, do you want the answer?
Why, yes, Sean, we want the answer. Please tell us.
A couple weeks back,
Okay.
I knock on the door. Forgot that I was wearing this hat's so comfortable. I forgot that I was wearing it. Like, I forgot that it was a MAGA hat that I was wearing, and not like my Jays hat or a Under Armour hat, whatever. Right? I open the door. Here I am in my MAGA hat. There's a guy trying to sell me internet.
Okay.
I open the door. There I am with my MAGA hat. He looks at me, kind of like stares like this, just takes a step back, and he goes, "Oh, hi. Are you from Florida? Florida, eh?" It's like, what? I totally forgot that I had this on, and then I realized, oh, I'm wearing this hat. Why do you assume I'm from Florida? What the fuck? I haven't even said anything to you yet. And then he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm from I think he said Maine or something like that. I'm like, Maine? What are you doing here?
Yeah. What are you doing in
What are you
Ontario?
doing here? It was just it was the funniest thing. But yeah, Trump is a rising he's a rising tide that will lift all ships, right?
Mhm.
And so, I mean, you have people across the world hoping that, Trump gets in, because when Trump gets in, a lot of the war stops. If the
Yeah.
wars stop, that means my tax dollars can stop going to Ukraine. Canada has given nearly every single piece of military equipment it has. We've been completely demilitarized. We have enough ammunition for 3 days. If you come to Canada with 4 days of ammunition, congratulations, you've won. And so like, I mean, that's just like one example.
My
Like,
God.
peace in the Middle East benefits everybody.
Yep.
Stopping this bullshit with Ukraine benefits everybody. If you can settle down the World Health Organization, the WEF, and you settle down NATO, you settle down the UN, it benefits everybody. Like, it's just it and then hopefully when we get our conservative government, things will work smoothly together, and there'll be good cooperation. But yeah, that's
Okay.
that's why I'm so pro Trump. But also, let me say, we have a porous border between America and Canada.
Yes,
It's
we
the
do.
longest undefended border in the world. And you get a lot of illegal immigration,
Yeah.
but a lot of your illegal immigration comes into
Whoa.
Canada. Sometimes, if they end up in New York actually buses them to the Canadian border, and then they say, "Go over there, cross that line," and then our CMP or our border guards, they go, "Yeah, come on this way," and they just bring them in. So, if you can't tamp that down, less illegals will be coming
Yep.
through Roxham Road. It's literally Roxham Road. It's a road in Quebec, and it ends. The road ends at like a little fence. That little fence, it's like a little chain link fucking fence. That's the border with America, and they've cut the fence so you can walk right across. And the road
Jeez.
goes up, chain link fence, and the road carries on. And New York is just like busing these people right there, parking the bus, and they're like, "Go over there," and then the border guard's like, "Yep, come on this way." So that stops with Donald Trump in office.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and I agree with Rhonda. I mean, we Americans, we're understandably and justifiably pissed off from our perspective. It's like, it's our country. Why in God's name are you letting all these people through here? But I mean, until you mentioned it, I hadn't really given it that much thought about the fact it doesn't just stop, on the shores of America. It will keep on flowing up into Canada. So yeah, you guys have got just as much incentive to see somebody control our southern border as we do from here.
Yeah. And another thing, the American Constitution is one of the greatest pieces of literature ever written. It
I agree.
is the greatest legal document. My Charter of Rights and Freedoms, same idea as your Constitution. It has a giant asterisk called the Notwithstanding Clause.
I've heard Viva talk about this.
The Notwithstanding Clause is an asterisk that says, yes, notwithstanding your rights, your God-given rights, we are the government and we have the power to take your rights away, but only for no longer than 5 years, because, as I mentioned earlier, our elections with a majority government have to be about 4 or 5 years. So if you don't like the fact that we've taken this right away, you'll obviously vote us out. And so during the pandemic, the Notwithstanding Clause was used all over the place, provincially and all of that. And so
Mhm.
our rights were just like, literally, the government was like, "You don't need these anymore. You can have them back later.
Mhm.
Vote us out if you don't like it." You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, your constitution is the best thing ever, right? And your free speech and your Second Amendment, and I mean, we could probably lose that 19th though, eh? Kidding, joking, jokes. Um,
And you were telling me about the analytics on your channel. You have how many female viewers? No, I'm just kidding.
oh,
I know.
actually, quite a bit because I do a lot of crime stories.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
when a lot of female teachers diddling their students.
Oh,
Women love
Lord.
to watch that stuff. I think it's an
Well,
interesting thing. Women like, yeah, I love true crime stuff. Anyway, point is that your constitution makes you the beacon, the shining beacon on the hill, right?
thank you. Thank you. We're trying to
So
hang on to it as best we can.
so what if you are a ship lost in the fog, what is it that you need to guide you? You need that lighthouse. And America's Constitution, believe it or not, is kind of that lighthouse. As long as that exists, we can find our way through the tyranny that is the fog in this example. We can find our way back to be a good country, as long as that's there. If America loses its Constitution, loses its First Amendment, its Second Amendment, all that stuff, that lighthouse gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And then, I mean, look at England right now. England isn't even England. It's 50% Muslim and rapidly changing, right? The British, the English, are becoming rapidly a minority.
Yep, in their own country.
Christianity and all of that is rapidly becoming a minority in their own country. Same thing is
Absolutely.
happening in Australia. Same thing is happening in Canada. We're rapidly losing ourselves, and going head first into communism, because we're already damn near at socialism. We're giving up rights. We're losing everything that had made us great. But in that, we can see what America is or was or whatever, that lighthouse. If we can get the correct people in office, we do the correct things, we can make our way back. So that's why I believe Donald Trump getting in office will basically preserve that lighthouse for at least 4 more years, maybe make it brighter and stronger. And so more countries can finally be like, hey, you know what? We're going back to what we used to be. I don't know if any of that made sense, but
It did, and remember how I was talking about earlier that it's amazing the reach of a social media channel. Check, look, we have a gentleman here who's viewing us currently, an American and a Canadian. We have a gentleman from India who is viewing in tonight.
I
So,
am so, if you're an Indian in India, I'm so sorry about Justin Trudeau. I am so sorry. I just want
yeah,
you to know that.
yeah.
He's a cuck and I hate him.
Well, believe me, I tell you what, we'll make you guys a deal. You help us get rid of Biden, we'll help you guys get rid of Trudeau. How about it?
That's a deal.
All right. All right. Two last questions. Your channel has attracted an interesting group of friends, or at least from my perspective for you. I'll drop some names. Daniel Clancy,
I love
Chris,
that man in a
Chris.
completely non-homosexual way.
Well,
Although he might disagree.
he refers to you as his Canadian figget, but we'll just leave that alone for a moment.
Yeah.
You've got Clancy, you've got Chris from the Morning Mayhem, you've got Robert Herr.
Yeah.
How did you guys come across each other? And how often do you get to hang out together? And how much fun do you guys have when you get to stream together? Because I know some content creators love to work with other people because it's like one
It's
starts the sentence and the other one finishes it.
it's I don't know. It's one of those things that it just kind of happened. Now, it was like almost God put us together.
Okay,
And I want to tell a quick little side story, if I may, to
you
highlight
may.
the significance of me saying that. When I was younger, I was an anti-theist. It means I was against religion.
Okay,
And then I shifted to a very feisty atheist. I would debate you. I was one of those debate me bros, your sky fairy, blah blah blah. One of those cunts. Um, and then time passed and then I mellowed out because I came to the conclusion that not being religious was like not collecting stamps for a hobby. It's just something you don't have to fucking talk about how you don't collect stamps. So I mellowed out
okay,
um significantly, and then more and more mellow, and then literally religion never entered my life or mind or anything. It just was just kind of like nothing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um kind of like the way eating frog legs never enters my life at all. Up until this moment now. I haven't thought about it. Oh God, forever. I just pulled it out of the clear blue sky for this
Okay,
example. But
okay,
but then during the pandemic, I saw a lot of things and started to get some vibes, right? And that really kind of like shook my world quite dramatically.
okay.
Um, I was standing at my kitchen counter watching news or whatever, just about like all of the things that were happening during the pandemic. Usually, like rights being taken away, people being sick, things being denied, blah 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 blah. And I came to the realization that this is, we were witnessing evil, genuine, for real
Mhm.
evil,
Agreed.
and it was a real kind of scary thought. Like, oh my god, these are demons, actually demons. Like they have to be like things that like Fauci does, or things that oh, I forget our equivalent to Fauci here. Really creepy looking Asian woman. Um uh Tam, Tam or Pam or anyways. Um there's like absolute demons, and it was really horrifying. And genuinely made me afraid. And I'm there washing dishes or whatever, kind of like really afraid of what I was watching. And all of a sudden, I don't know, I kind of had a thought. There's this weird epiphany. And again, I don't really know how to explain it. So you guys would probably be able to explain it better. Um, I don't know. I just there was like a thought, almost like a calming. Again, I don't really know how to explain it. But then the thought was like, okay, so evil is obviously real. I'm looking right at it. I can see it. Um, and then I thought, well, it's gotta be like an equation, right? Like there's always something on the other side
Of the
of the
equal
equal
sign.
sign.
Yeah.
So what could that be? I'm looking at actual evil. If there's something on the other side of that equation to balance it out, because that's the rules of the universe, is math and shit. There's got to be something there, and I don't know. It was just a calming thing, and I haven't really necessarily come to terms with what that is, but I'm often like feeling vibes where people would start talking about God and religion and all that stuff, and where I used to be uncomfortable or dismissive or just I didn't care. I've become more receptive, more interested, and it's an entire 180 from what I started out.
Hmm.
And so some of my religious friends are like, you know those vibes you're feeling. I was like, yes, I don't really know how to explain them other than the word vibes. They're like, just keep following them because you're on a path, you're being called. You'll get there. Just keep following them. And then that's basically how the conversation goes, right? Um, and so back to the point of this is meeting Daniel Clancy, meeting Chris and Rob. Um, it sort of happened, and as if God did it.
Hmm.
Like, there's no reason. I made a post. I made a post in, like, I occasionally shill Coffee Brand Coffee for the quoting. I don't really promo code Railify. I don't really do it anymore because it's so fucking tired. It's tiring to do it.
Indeed.
I think
Indeed.
I've made like 10 cents. I'm tired. I don't wanna do it. But so I would post on the Discord, occasionally, every so often if I had a video and I remembered to do it, and I remember posting one video, like something, I don't know, something like told me to like to post that. It was like, hey, you know what? Maybe do that this time. I was like, well, I got this weird voice in my head. I may as well listen to it. I mean, whatever. And I did that. And then all of a sudden, this guy with a sultry voice starts like messaging me and talking to me, and it's just like it's fucking Chris. And then we like immediately hit it off and become like really really like good friends. Like he's a bro, like 100%. It's like kind of weird how that happened.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the weirdest way all the pieces sort of like fit together. And the same things that happened with um with both Dan and Rob. We just kind of like, I think they had a post that I somehow, for no reason I shouldn't have, but I did stumble upon it and I somehow commented on it, and then all of a sudden I dream of GD, blink, bam, we're fucking best friends. I'm like, that, that doesn't even, that is playing it back in my head. I'm like, that shouldn't have happened. It was like it was strangely guided somehow, and and
Hmm.
and and so that's why I almost like bring up the significance, and I tell that whole long you know preamble of why it's significant. Is it's because I don't know if I believe in that stuff, but I yet use the example as if it was guided by God, and it's just, yeah, I genuinely love those guys, and somehow we're all about the same size, and we're like sort of coming up together, and we like pat each other on the back and touch each other's dicks, just that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. None of that might have made sense, and if it doesn't, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right, and you even managed to figure out a way how to make sure it did not get gay, but you even managed to do that. So congratulations. Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. So, what's the future hold for the channel and for you and for what you're doing? Because I'm telling you, I agree with Christian Watson, man. You've got a good touch for this sort of thing. You're funny, you're smart, you're lively. I can really see this thing growing over time. Where do you see the channel going?
Oh, I don't know. If Social Blade has anything to say, nowhere.
Ah, screw Social Blade. What the hell they know?
I don't know. I'll do it. I'll do it until I can't. Maybe I get somewhere. Maybe I don't. I mean, it would be disappointing, if it doesn't, because I do work pretty hard on
Yeah.
what what I can do. But next year, my littlest one goes to school, so my wife was like, "Oh, great, you can go back to work." I'm like, "No, I can't do that." She's like, "Well, why can't you go back to work?" I'm like, "Well, because we have 4 autistic kids at school, and they don't have the support that they need, and so, the school is gonna be calling me 10 times a day," which they often do, so, I have to be here to get their phone calls, whether I have to go there for whatever support or pick them up or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, shit." Like, "Yeah, so I'll have to just
Yeah.
bust my ass doing this as much as possible," and maybe that's when I have enough time to really grow it, or maybe, I don't know, I'll get to take a nap.
Well, hey, I mean, and I mean this in all sincerity, my man. If there's anything I can do to help you out, do not hesitate to reach out and let me know. I mean, I jokingly tell people I'm running a tin can and string operation here that's powered by cheap surplus Ukrainian equipment. But if I can help you out with anything, if it's in my
Oh,
power
that's
to do
that
it, let me
that's so
know.
nice of you.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, look, my theory is there's room enough at the top of the mountain for everybody, and there's not like one person who has their own corner on the top of the mountain. Why can't we all get up there and be as successful and joyous and happy as we want to be? So, if we can help you out with that, let me know. Now, in the meanwhile, what can folks who follow my channel, what can they do to help you? Where can they find you on social media? What can they do to support your efforts and, make Third Railify bigger and better than what it already is?
Um, well, I mean, you guys don't have to do anything. Nobody's obligated to help. That's just sort of what it is. But if you, I don't know, like my personality or my presence or the content that I cover, I mean, I do uh tend to cover like some of the big stories. But here's the thing: if I cover a big story, and Tim Pool covers a big story, and Cording covers a big story, and it's all the same big story. I mean, eventually you're going to get really tuckered out of that, and so I sometimes cover the big stories, but also maybe some of the ones that are below the fold that you might not have seen or might be interesting, and that's kind of how I do it. I go through all the news sources. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, or hey, that's really messed up. That might pique a couple ears. People might want to hear about that. Um, so I mean, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I mean, I guess do follow me at Third Railify on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Twitter, and yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, it's fine. Not everybody likes me. Some people hate me, but I, you know.
People lacking of good taste. That's all I can tell you. People lacking of good taste. No, we cannot hate you, my friend. You
Well,
got
I mean, I am an acquired taste. I think.
it's a
I mean,
good way of putting it.
like the Rumble people tend to like me. I don't know. The M169 seems like me. They seem fantastic. Christ brings a sword. Maybe they don't like me so much. So I mean, if you're the kind of person that, I don't know, likes, I don't know, my way of doing things, please. Hopefully I won't let you down. Hopefully I won't disappoint you.
Absolutely. Well, brother, hang on for a second. We'll say some proper goodbyes backstage. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight for this session of Chatting on the Porch as we got to talk to Sean from Third Railify. We're going to be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Miss Tracy from Gen X Marks the Spot and I will be doing the news together. She's bringing some topics. I'm bringing some topics, and we're going to bounce it back and forth across the internet the internet, and we'll
That
bounce some
sounds
top.
fun.
Yeah, it does. We're going to
That
bounce some
sounds
topics.
fun. I
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
gonna
Let's
seven.
do that one time.
Well, all right, fine. Fine. You know where to find me. Just, send me the invite. I'll come on, you know. But anyway, we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Then Thursday night, Chris from My Morning Mayhem is going to be here, 7:30 Eastern. We're going to have the same kind of conversation with him, and I am really looking forward to, talking to that devil down in Georgia.
Oh, ladies, get your seats ready.
Oh, God. Anyway, hang on. We'll say some proper goodbyes. Folks, thank you so much for being here. And remember the words of that legendary American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." See you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for being here.